Yes, I don't sense. I guess I was surprised in this respect. I didn't sense a lot of. I expected a lot of strong anti-Americanism, and I didn't sense it from our meetings. And obviously, I didn't sense it from the people. I mean, for instance, wouldn't it have been sensible if you were right there in the prison where they had held 10 Americans prisoners and the person that was visiting with us had been there during that period of time, and these were the people that were bombing his country, and he protected the prisoners, maintained them. You'd expect a person like him to express the resentment, and he didn't seem to have any of that.
How about the committee in general? What do you want this select committee to accomplish? And when's its duties finished?
Well, its duties will be finished on January the 3rd. There's nothing we can do about that. And hopefully, with this process working as quickly as it is, if they're fully cooperative and they'll get this process down well, then I think that means that we may have our work done. If that doesn't work, then we may not have our work done in the sense of having all the questions answered we want. But we've got to know that our government is basically leveling with our own American citizens. In other words, you asked me what our committee should do. I stated this at our first ad hoc meeting even before we were organized in October. Our goal has to be to make sure that we demystify this whole process, that we level with our own people. It doesn't matter really what Chuck Grassley thinks. We got 2,200 American families there that feel that our government hasn't done what they said they would do, number one. Number two, hasn't fully opened up our records to them. And so I say our bottom line is to bring this all out, put it on the table, and let everybody in America know what we know and what our investigators know. I mean, within the only exception would be something that would be national security. But I can't believe after 20 years that it's the legitimacy of classification. In fact, I think this goes to a bigger problem that we have in our government, over-classification. And that's a more generic problem we got to deal with, but it really fits into this. And so my goal, number one, as I stated at that October meeting, was to find out what our government knows and what has it done with the information we know. And we as a committee can do something about that with our own government. We ought to expect our own government to open up. Secondly, then, and only after we know what our own government knows, then worry about what the Vietnamese are doing or not doing.
Is there partisanship in this issue at all?
Very little. Very little. And no, I don't. If you're talking about Republican-Democrat partisanship, I don't think so. I think the partisanship comes more of a not partisanship in a sense, conflicts between a congressional branch of government with our constitutional powers and responsibilities of oversight, seeing that the bureaucracy carrying out our policy has been doing their job. And there's been stonewalling, I believe, by our bureaucracy.
What's in it for the bureaucracy? Why are they stonewalling?
I don't know. I don't know. That's the whole mystery about the whole thing. But listen, I know that they're stonewalling because it took me 6 months in 1990 to see the live sighting reports. 6 months to get the live sighting reports. That was one of the reasons I so strongly supported the establishment of this committee, is because it's going to I decided to take more than one senator looking into this to see all these and get them thoroughly analyzed so that we would know what our government knows. And then based on knowing what our government knows, is our government doing enough? Did it do enough? Because the obvious measure here is stated policy by 2 or 3 Republican and Democrat presidents that this is of our nation's highest priority to get to the bottom of this. So I concluded up until now, it may be changing now, that our government's performance has not been commensurate with this rhetoric, and that we have a responsibility to be truthful with our people. In other words, if we're going to say this is our highest priority, then we ought to be acting like it's our highest priority. And if it isn't, then we should renounce that policy. I don't want to renounce that policy. I want it to be of our highest priority.
What's the politics of the veteran groups in Iowa? Where are they stand?
Well, it isn't Republican or Democrat. If there's politics connected with it, it's people like maybe the best way to answer your question would be how did I kind of get involved with this as deeply as I am? Go back 3 or 4 years. Or maybe you go back 10, 12 years, you know, signing resolutions and signing letters that we ought to be doing more about this. But eventually, these Vietnam veterans come to my town meetings. And they're kind of pleading, you know, why aren't we doing more? We left boys over there, et cetera, et cetera. So it kind of builds up after a while, and then you think, well, what I've been doing of signing resolutions, signing letters isn't enough. You got to get into it deeper. And then then once you do get into it deeper, and people know that you've been doing something, and then these same people will come back with some not a very fancy, but some certificate, you know, that will say that such and such Vietnam group thanks Chuck Grassley for what he's doing to investigate the Vietnam. That's the politics of it. A sincere desire, maybe even a guilt complex to some extent, that we left somebody behind. And they want to get to the bottom. And I don't know whether they're right or not, but I think we do have a responsibility to get to the bottom.
In your opinion, is there a fear on the part of the presidential candidates, including the president, that if they lift this embargo, that the veterans group will come after them?
Yes, I believe so. I've never heard that stated, but I believe that's behind it. And I've heard enough news people comment on that I think they get it out of campaigns and get it out of the White House and other places that, yeah, that they won't want to do this. And on the other hand, there's a real feeling that on the day after the election, relations could be normalized, which I hope that that's not the case. I want relations to be normalized, but based upon the commitments that we've made to our people, and then what we have stated to the Vietnamese government, that this has to be resolved.
Explain about your constituents.
Ready. Good morning. How are you?
Hi.
Nice to see you.
They win the company.
Good.
Who
is he with?
Xin là không là với chính phủ ở Việt Nam hay.
Oh, good. He speaks great English.
Oh, good. Không cần người thân dịch.
Let's go.
He came to Marshall Joyce. Yeah. Joyce Marshall. Joyce Marshall. Nhưng mà Joyce Marshall là người của ODP. Anh không phải là người ODP. I know that. Nói là người đó.
Yeah. So you guys filming the clock in there, concerned about the time. We were not originally meant to leave until 9. And we're the ones that last night said we're going to try to speed it up, that we knew the original departure was 9. So I wasn't, yeah, I just was concerned that you thought it was Vietnamese delay. And they said, we don't know if we can speed it up for you tomorrow or not. The original departure was 9. No idea. I just didn't feel badly about it, so I didn't want you to think that we were all sitting here steaming because we expected to leave at 8. We really didn't.
Because I remember we first heard when we got here that it was 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
and then the
that's what we thought.
Yeah.
And frankly, the schedule said 9 o'clock, and we left last night knowing it was up in the air, so it doesn't work. But we're about to go. They seem ready to go.
We called the United States last night. Great. Still just open.
Where is
Amazing because
take the car.
They're taking the cars out to the plane.
Oh, we're still
plane? Yeah,
no problem.
Just show me.
Oh, okay.
Taking the cars out.
Bây giờ thế này hỏi anh cứ làm một cái động tác này cho tôi, tức là anh cứ liên hệ căn cứ trong cái đài chỉ huy không có à? Vâng, cái đấy nó là một cái bài mà bộ binh chứ à?
Tức là địa phương nó có liên hệ chứ trên này không?
Tại vì nó là bộ binh chứ không hề chiến tranh. Thế sau đó mình xuống rồi sẽ nào? Nếu như mình đổ ngay sát chỗ tâm ở đây họ khuyên là mình nên đổ sân vận động. Vâng, ở chỗ nước thô gần đấy thôi nhé. Thế thời gian cậu mới làm việc gì đấy xong rồi lên máy bay. Ông muốn vào cái chỗ đó.
Ông xuống dưới rồi mình chuyển tiền đó.
Xong sau đó mình lại sẽ về Cần Thơ, ta đỗ ta lấy dầu xong rồi ta đi An Thới. Tôi xin phép Hạ để An Thới. Vâng, An Thới cũng không có ai tiếp đón ta cả. Ta cứ làm việc của ta làm. Sau đó được ta từ An Thới ta về Hà Tiên. Thì hạ chỗ nào cũng được. Không sang Kiên Giang. Nếu muốn xuống Kiên Giang xuống nhưng mà tôi sợ rằng một ngày không thể kịp.
Hà Tiên là Kiên Giang đấy.
Không biết rồi, Hà Tiên nhưng phía ngoài.
Kiên Giang nhưng mà
thì Kiên Giang mà là chính quyền của người ta đó. Anh biết yêu cầu gì?
Bây giờ chính quyền họ đến đón mình Hà Tiên cơ.
À thế à?
Tôi cũng chưa biết là Hà Tiên thì chính quyền họ biết chưa? Rồi. Hà Tiên là chính quyền họ biết.
They know. They already informed. Hà Tiên.
Nếu mà còn dầu thì ta về thẳng Sài Gòn. Nếu không ta phải quay lại Cần Thơ lấy dầu lại quay về. Như vậy coi như khi câu là như nào? Tôi sợ.
He's afraid he can't get that done before 5. Let's go. Let's get going. Cố gắng thôi.
Cố gắng.
Cố gắng thôi.
Tất cả những chỗ này chúng tôi báo cáo là họ đồng ý hết. Ta xuống. Tôi chỉ sợ rằng thời gian ta không theo.
There is no problem in getting into any place you want to go today. Everything is all right. The only problem is time.
Let's go. Let's go.
Okay, như vậy là đi. Ông đi invite chúng tôi không? Con phải mở cửa xuống đường không? Không nên mở. No senator.
Gió rất lớn.
Well, we'll do the best we can.
Nhưng mà ông nói là không đúng 5 giờ chiều thì kệ thì cũng sao. Nhưng mà ông học giáo.
Who's got the map with the coordinates, the small map?
This is the one here, Senator.
No, I know. That's this place I know well.
Anh Linh à? Không hỏi anh được. À vâng.
Now, where's your area, do you know, that was of concern off the base?
Anh Phong ơi.
It's the east entrance. What we know is it deals with the east entrance.
Well, the entrance here where the road comes in is right over in here. We came up to that last year. In fact, there's a snake farm over here.
That's what.
At the snake farm?
That's what the guy told us.
Oh, you're kidding, really?
That there was a snake farm there.
Yeah, I know exactly where it is. There's a snake farm right at the. That's right at the gate.
Coconut area.
Yeah.
That's where we were.
That's the gate.
Well, we can go out there. That's
was
the
it
gate.
a French-style gate?
Yeah, that's
wrought
the gate.
iron.
It's a gate to the base. It's the big entrance to the base. It's the main entrance to the base.